Welcome to the Downton Blabbey podcast. If you're a Downton Abbey fan, you're in the right place. I am Sandy Maxx, a TV, radio, and live event host based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I've been recently nicknamed Downton Sandy by my friend Harvey this summer, based on my enthusiasm about the show, the fact that I've been counting down to the movie for nearly a year now, plus my adventures at Highclere Castle, traveling to the Downton Abbey exhibition when it was in New York City last year, and being part of the studio audience at the recent PBS Downton Abbey live broadcast. I want to create a space where fans like you, my friends, sometimes my family, we can all share thoughts and feelings about the show here. When I told my idea to my longtime friend John Suntress of the Word Balloon podcast, he suggested the title Downton Blabbey, since talking about the show is the topic here. So thank you, John. This very first episode has been recorded in Milwaukee in September of 2019, just a couple of weeks before the Downton Abbey movie comes to big screens around the world. Even if you're listening after the movie has been released, it'll be amusing to see what ideas about the film come true or not. There are no movie spoilers in this episode because the movie isn't out yet, but we will be speaking freely about the plots and characters of all 6 seasons of the series. So thank you for joining me in this premiere episode of Downton Blabbey. You'll get to know me a bit better as my college pal Mary interviews me about my opinions of the Downton Abbey show. I'll break down the trailer for the movie, and I'll let you know how you can win Downton Abbey prizes and possibly be a guest on this podcast.
Hi, I am Mary Ennis, and I'm here talking about Downton Abbey with my dear friend Sandy, who has had the brilliant idea to start a podcast about our shared passion. And I'm figuring if you're going to listen to the podcast, you might want to know a little bit more about her. So let's find out. About Downton Abbey, can you tell us who your favorite character was or is?
I can. And I'm going to tell you, I share it with some apprehension. Uh-oh. I got a rare manicure recently and found out that the manicurist is a big Downton Abbey fan. So we had this conversation. When I told her who my favorite character was, she kind of went, oh. I could tell it wasn't an answer that she liked, but I could defend it. My favorite character in Downton Abbey is Thomas.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, tell us why.
Because he's the underdog.
Yes.
I think you don't have to be gay in a time where being gay was illegal to understand what it's like to not belong. And almost all of his challenges at work, I guess I feel like I've had. I haven't hidden the dog to try to all of a sudden become the hero and ensure my job, but I understand why he's doing all those things because that's the only job he has.
Yeah, and I think that even in his most, let's call it evil moments, evil's probably a strong word, but you always felt like deep down underneath all of that, there was a good person in there.
And they've shown that with how he felt about Sybil passing away, how he felt about George, Lady Mary's son. So they've given him those moments. But I guess this last time where he's interviewing and all the other jobs that are even remotely options pay less and he has to do more, that is so relevant to today and so many experiences that my friends are having. And I find him incredibly attractive.
Which never hurts.
He's a very good-looking man. I really enjoy Thomas. Like, there's no way I'd fast forward through that. Like, if he's on screen, like, I want to see what he's saying and what he's doing. And part of the entertainment is that he's crafty and devious. I felt like I always understood why and could be empathetic to why he would do desperate and awful sandbagging things.
I won't say you've 100% convinced me, but I can see it.
But at least, yeah, boy, that manicurist, boy, she was just like, oh, because I'm pretty sure her favorite character was the Dowager Countess. So,
well, whose isn't? But aside from you,
from me, I know.
So then, who is your most hated character?
Oh, I would say
it's hard to hate on, right?
No, I would say Ms. Bunting, because she really got on my nerves. Yeah, but I'll tell you who really gets on my nerves is Denker.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her.
Yeah, she just wears on my last nerve, and it's also because I like Spratt so much.
Spratt.
So, yeah, but Denker was just, now funny, I guess I could see why her behavior could sort of parallel Thomas's.
Yeah.
But no, man, she irritated me.
Yeah, that whole like getting in debt with the card playing and all that. Boo. No, don't like it.
Yeah, and just would always try and blackmail Spratt. And yeah, I was not a fan of Denker.
So then who is your most missed character?
I do miss Carson's voice. He could read the dictionary. I just enjoy so much about him.
Yeah.
Including that he used to be a charming Charlie. There's just a lot to like about Carson. But I'll enjoy seeing all of the characters again in the movie. But I guess that's one of those when you do rewatch the series, he's one of those comforting, reassuring, and that's his role anyway. That kind of the traditional stalwart man who keeps the order together. So I guess as a patriarchal figure, yeah, I miss Carson.
What are you looking forward to out of the movie?
I think it's going to be grand. And just seeing all of this on the big screen and hearing the music.
Yes.
I think it's going to be... Is anybody showing this on IMAX? Right. I think it's going to...
I love that idea.
It's going to... For as much as we've all enjoyed it on the small screen and felt this intimacy and these relationships with all these different characters... Boy, I think to see it on the big screen and really be able to see some of that detail. Think about those scenes in that library type room.
Yeah.
And now you'll really be able to see a lot of that detail and the costumes. And I'm looking forward to just experiencing this world, this fictitious yet historically accurate world on that level. And frankly, the theater is a communal vibe. I think it will be fun to watch this movie with other people who are interested in it and who may laugh at times, or you might hear a sniffle over your shoulder when there is something about that communal experience.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of I think you're right, though. I hadn't thought about it, but it's the kind of movie that's going to attract fans. And so sitting there with other people that love this the way you do.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
On the other side, what are you worried about as far as the movie goes?
I'm just going to say it. It's Julian Fellowes. He's a master storyteller. We've had our ups and our downs in the series. Will the Dowager Countess make it through this movie? This is a year and a half, supposedly, after the last episode. And if it started in 1912...
Titanic.
Is that when the Titanic sank?
Yeah.
But she was no spring chicken in 1912.
Right. And I believe that was her quote... what was she? She was like 110 by the time we finished. How is there possibly any story left for her?
Oh, well, there is, and that's good. But so that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about that I may have to say goodbye to Dowager Countess.
Oh. How did you discover Downton Abbey?
PBS. I lived in Chicago when it was first on. The episode that was the first for me was Lady Mary and Mr. Pamuk. That was my introduction to this. Because I started watching then, there were key things that I did not know, which were sort of interesting, that turned into enjoyment for me. Now, my boyfriend lived in Milwaukee when I was in Chicago at this time. It wasn't every weekend that we would wind up meeting up, but let's say it was like a couple of weeks down the road, and it was a Sunday night, and we were together, and he said, oh, hey, I'm watching this show. And I'm like, oh, cool. What is it? So I'm like, I'm watching this show too. So it was very cool to discover that he had discovered it on his own.
Yeah.
And so we started watching it early together. So it became kind of like date night and something that we would watch together. And it was not bingey. It was weekly.
Right, weekly.
So you really had to make an appointment to watch it. So that was a fun way to enjoy that. But the funny thing is, if you started where I did, you didn't know that Thomas was gay, which is
right,
which was interesting. Like,
right.
I mean, I don't know how I kind of figured it out, but my boyfriend knew he was. I was like, surprise!
That's news to me.
Yeah, I'm like, how did you know? So he couldn't articulate because in the first episode, whatever. I didn't know Thomas was gay until later, and then the running joke between me and my boyfriend is who between Lady Mary and Lady Edith is the bigger bitch. Bitch is not a word I use very often. It has gravitas in my world, so I don't throw that word around lightly. So when, in the episode that Mike and I watched, like immediately after the Pamuk episode, you've got Edith writing a letter busting her sister. Now that is a bitch move.
Right.
That is horrible. So I say to Mike, I'm like, yeah. And he says, no, but Mary's a bigger bitch. I'm like, no way. So we had a debate about that. So then every time Mary does something snotty, he'll just look at me and go, he'll just whisper it, bigger bitch. And I'm like, no, Edith is still a bigger bitch. So every now and then we just look at each other when one of those moments happens and just goes, bitch.
Sybil was the glue that held that sisterhood together. And yeah.
And even when she died, it was like, can we get along better? Probably not. Like, wow, call it out. Call it out.
Yeah. If you had the opportunity to visit Highclere Castle, would you?
Yes, I have been twice now.
What?
The first time I went was in 2014. They give tours in the summertime, and you can walk all around the house and be on the grounds and in the gardens. It's a beautiful space. Highclere Castle is just outside a town called Newbury, and to actually get out where sheep are grazing and it's wooded and it is that manor life, it really was a beautiful experience, and it was a gorgeous sunny day.
Nice.
And Highclere Castle itself, all those rooms are as vibrant and rich as they look on camera. You can't take pictures on the tour, unfortunately. But my favorite part of that 2014 tour was you go up to the bedrooms and you walk down the stairs through the Great Hall to leave. Well, I'm walking down the stairs with the tour group, but I realize as I get to that landing, I'm like, oh my God, this is the staircase that Mary walked down when she was in her wedding gown. And, you look down and there's your dad and Carson staring up at you like, you're the most beautiful thing in the world. We're so proud of you. I'm like, that was like one of my favorite moments of the show. I'm like, I'm going back up and I'm walking down this leisurely. So I did. They didn't stop me, but we were just kind of shuffling down the stairs. Right. I'm like, no, this is a grand wooden staircase with the red carpet. I want to touch the staircase. Yes. So I basically did a second lap down the stairs before I left. Well, because I kind of got that last minute panic. It's like, once I walk out that door,
I can't come back.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not coming back in. Like, I need to savor this moment. So it is very cool. If you think of that moment when Mary and Matthew are dancing together in front of the Christmas tree. Yes. And Lavinia Swire catches them.
Yeah. I'm not sad she was gone either.
Oh, I liked Lavinia. I felt bad for Lavinia. You look down into that beautiful, beautiful room, and it really does hit you. It's just a wonderful historic space.
Yeah.
So Highclere Castle, definitely recommended. And on that trip, downstairs is an Egyptology exhibit.
What?
Because Lord Carnarvon...
Yes, I actually know why.
Well, but
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was one of the first explorers, to excavate King Tut's tomb with another man named, I think his first name was John, but last name was Carpenter.
Yeah.
Lord Carnarvon passed away while this dig was going on, and it was the Lady Carnarvon at the time who said, finish the job, Mr. Carpenter. Now, I think that was pretty huge because that was obviously very expensive.
Right.
But what's sad is I always specifically make sure I remember Carpenter's name because he's the one who did this to his death, and he pretty much died like no one noticed.
Yep.
I was just at Highclere Castle a second time because I got very excited. It was announced that there would be a summer concert called Downton Abbey Live, and it was a concert performed by the London Chamber Orchestra of the music of Downton Abbey, narrated by Jim Carter.
Yes.
As Carson. I budgeted my nickels and pennies so well that I bought a VIP experience ticket. Yes. So I was in the fifth row for all the music. And John Lunn, the music composer, played piano and was part of this performance as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very magical. And the VIP experience allowed you to meet Jim Carter and John Lunn before the show. Have a little chat, have a little photo. So I got to hear Jim Carter, exactly, in person.
Say your name even.
Yeah. And while I was in line to meet Jim and John, I'm on first name basis with them. They're not on speed dial or anything. I wish they were.
Are you sure?
I work to get them on the podcast. I'll see what I can do.
Ooh, I like that.
But while I was waiting in line, Lord and Lady Carnarvon were there chatting with some people, so I got to meet Lady Carnarvon and Lord Carnarvon and get a photo with them. So it was a very, very good visit.
That's
fantastic. It was a very good visit, and it was a beautiful summer night. It was a perfect summer night. So I don't know if they'll make that an annual experience or not.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so definitely recommend a Highclere visit.
Cool. I'm putting it on the bucket list right now. Maybe we should go back together. I love that idea.
I need to get Lady Carnarvon on speed dial.
Yes.
Enough about me. Let's take a listen to the movie trailer that came out in May. Then we can break down some highlights about it. Thanks to Focus Features and Downton Abbey for providing this movie trailer for Downton Blabbey.
No maid, no valet, no nanny even.
It's 1927. We're modern folk. Blimey.
The King and Queen are coming to Downton.
What?
I want every surface to gleam and sparkle.
A royal luncheon, a parade, and a dinner. I'm going to have to sit down.
How's it all going?
Mary's got it under control.
Hardly. I need your help, Carson.
I'll be there in the morning, my lady. Don't you worry.
Should we really go on with it?
You mean leave Downton? Downton Abbey's the heart of this community, and you're keeping it beating.
Remember to pray for us.
I'll put in a word.
Your Majesties, welcome to Downton Abbey.
Will you have enough cliches to get you through the visit?
If not, I'll come to you.
Oh, here we go.
That is the official movie trailer that came out in May for the Downton Abbey film. Now let's go through it just a second time with some observations. Gorgeous car, a Bentley hood ornament. There's that pristine vintage Bentley. Now, who's driving? Maybe the chauffeur for the King and Queen when they arrive at Downton Abbey? Or is it a car that Henry Talbot is selling? I thought he and Tom Branson were going to sell used cars. Or does Henry get back into auto racing? No, wait. I was distracted by the hood ornament. Now that I have it frozen on this scene, I see that it's Edith behind the wheel. Ooh, well, how far she's come from grinding the gears on a farm tractor. Highclere Castle from high above, the sound of a servant's bell ring on the board downstairs, the beautiful saloon room, the winding of a grandfather clock. Now, I want to say that's my guy Thomas tending to the grandfather clock, but it's a very brief profile shot, and it may not be him since I think clocks probably aren't in his job description anymore. Wine glasses, white gloves. Here comes a motorcycle messenger puttering up to Downton Abbey.
No maid, no valet, no nanny even.
It's 1927. We're modern folk.
Another vintage automobile, this time with the modern Marquis Bertie driving and Marchioness Edith in the back seat with a hat box and Marigold, yes, in that order. Lord and Lady Grantham greet them outside the front door as they park, and Robert lists out all the changes. We get a glimpse of Andy, dressed in his livery, approaching the car. Big slide that reads Focus Features and Carnival. Then a dreamy drone shot of Highclere Castle. Children frolicking on the lawn. Tom Branson smiles on. Robert and Cora kiss in the library. Isabel and Violet strolling together on the grounds. Here comes a train, delivering a letter.
Blimey.
That's Andrew's reaction to the mail, and we definitely see Thomas now, giving a serious look to the note.
The King and Queen are coming to Downton.
There's Robert now, reading the note, and now Lady Mary's reaction, and our first look at her rocking her 1927 bob haircut.
What?
Slide reads, Welcome to a new era. Flurry of house cleaning under Mrs. Hughes' direction.
I want every surface to gleam and sparkle.
I still feel like I should call her Mrs. Carson. Now the slide, We've been expecting you.
A royal luncheon, a parade, and a dinner, I'm going to have to sit down.
You hear how excited Mrs. Patmore is, and you get a quick look at her, but what about Mr. Mosley's fantastic green jacket? It looks like something Adam Att would want to wear. Plus, Mr. Mosley looks pretty excited, but if he's wearing this new jacket and holding a tray of champagne flutes, what about his teaching gig? Well, I suppose we'll find out. Exterior nighttime shot of Downton Abbey, and the Dowager Countess asks a question.
How's it all going?
Mary's got it under control.
Hardly.
Now here Lady Mary goes to visit the Carson cottage.
I need your help, Carson.
I'll be there in the morning, my lady. Don't you worry.
And now the Carsons stroll back up the path to Downton Abbey. As the U2 song goes, a sort of homecoming. Or 38 Specials, back where you belong. Let's stick with John Lund's musical compositions. A flash of Robert and Cora sharing a smile, Henry and Mary smooching. I have to pause it for the happy wine toast downstairs. We see Daisy, Mrs. Patmore, Miss Baxter, Mosley, in that fantastic jacket still, Mrs. Hughes, Mr. Carson, and Anna and John Bates. They're all glowing and laughing. A success of some sort? Did they pull off the royal dinner? I guess we'll find out about that too. Hold on, a second shot downstairs of more staff toasting. Andy is also wearing Mosley's cool coat, and who's that? Oh, wait, I thought it was a new character. I think it's Daisy, rocking her own 1927 bob. Cute. Sunshine strolls with Edith and Bertie, a dark downstairs glimpse of now happy couple Anna and Bates dancing to an orchestra inside Downton Abbey.
Should we really go on with it?
You mean leave Downton?
After Anna asks about leaving Downton, we see flashes of Daisy and Mrs. Patmore in the kitchen, two smiling men wearing fedoras and leather gloves in the village that I don't think I've ever seen before. Thomas gets kissed by a dude, and then Anna giving her pep talk. That's a lot packed in there.
Downton Abbey's the heart of this community, and you're keeping it beating.
Now we see three ladies in hats curtsying in a fancy house. So maybe it's royal practice, or is it in the presence of a royal? Wait, could it be people curtsying to Edith? There's a different angle, so maybe it is royal practice. Or maybe Edith really is leaning into her new aristocratic title. Branson observes two people kissing in the same hall that Mr. Pamuk got dragged down. More formal dancing indoors and on a terrace.
Remember to pray for us.
I'll put in a word.
Here comes the royal procession, ceremonial uniforms on horse riders. Then the car arrives with all of the Downton Abbey staff standing in formation outside the front door.
Your Majesties, welcome to Downton Abbey.
There you have it. Lady Cora greets the unseen king and queen. A big slide reads Downton Abbey with the silhouette of the manor in the background. And the trailer ends with classic Violet and Isabel repartee.
Will you have enough cliches to get you through the visit?
If not, I'll come to you.
Oh, here we go.
This slide lists out the characters we'll see in the film from top to bottom, left to right. Make note if one of your favorites does or doesn't make this list. Lord Grantham, Lady Mary Talbot, Henry Talbot, the Dowager Countess of Grantham, Tom Branson, Lady Hexam, that's Edith, Lord Hexam, that's Bertie, Lady Merton, Lord Merton, I guess he really did make a recovery, Thomas Barrow, Mr. Carson, Mrs. Patmore, Mrs. Hughes, Mr. Bates, Anna Bates, Daisy Mason, Andy Parker, Mr. Mosley, and Miss Baxter. And on the very last slide, only in theaters September. And the fine print Carnival and Focus features. So who's ready to see the movie? You've gotten to know me a bit and how I'd like for the Downton Blabbey podcast to bring us fans together as a place to share Downton Abbey thoughts, stories, and experiences. And I promised I'd let you know how you can win Downton Abbey prizes and possibly be a guest on this podcast. You have chances to win Downton Abbey movie advance screening passes, other Downton Abbey goodies, plus trips to Highclere Castle and an autographed copy of the movie script. You will find the place to enter for all these Downton treats at my website. Go to sandymaxx.com. That's SandyMaxx.com. Go to the Downton Abbey section of sandymaxx.com. You will see all the contests and get registered for those now, and good luck. And at sandymaxx.com, you'll also see my email address, the social media ways to connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use one of these ways. Jot me a note with your Downton Abbey thoughts, or send me a video or an audio clip of a comment or question. Maybe I can actually work that into the podcast. Start the conversation. Tell me or show me why you'd like to be a guest on Downton Blabbey. Let's have fun with this. First, though, subscribe to Downton Blabbey. Please go to your favorite podcast source and subscribe. Please also rate and review Downton Blabbey, especially since Downton Blabbey is new, and despite the title, people may not be able to find this podcast or know what it is about. You can help me spread the word. Another reason to subscribe is because I'll be posting several episodes before the movie comes out and several episodes after the release with reviews and reactions, and I'll want to know what you think about the movie after you see it. Share the podcast with a Facebook post or a tweet. Use hashtag Downton Blabbey, and I can find you and reshare. And we're spelling Blabbey like Downton Abbey with a BL, right? D-O-N, listen to me, D-O-W-N-T-O-N, B-L-A-B-B-E-Y. Makes sense, right? It looks right when you see it. Spread the good word of Downton Blabbey in your own way. And on the next Downton Blabbey episode, if you're a fan of professional bowling or Marquette University basketball games, you may recognize one of my guests on the next show, plus hear from the cast and enjoy my observations on the Downton Abbey movie sneak peek video. Thank you to Focus Features and Downton Abbey for the use of the movie trailer, and a hearty thanks to everyone who's had a hand and voice in getting Downton Blabbey started. I am Sandy Maxx. Thank you for listening. Please spread the word to your fellow Downton Abbey fans to listen and share Downton Blabbey. Bitch.